Hey, middle school families, it's Gianna Bari Lassiter, the Lake Harriet Parent Liaison. I just wanted to send you this note and give you the reassurance that you are not alone. I know that you have a lot of questions, and I had a lot of questions too when Alex first started last year. You probably, maybe now at this point, you've had some of your questions answered. However, there are new ones that are bubbling up because we're further into the season, and there may be new circumstances that you hadn't considered or new decisions that you have to make that you didn't realize would be a part of the whole program. But I want to reassure you that we've all been in that position. Last year, when Alex started with cross country, and with track and field, he was the first seventh grader. He was the only seventh grader after this alignment occurred with the high school. He was one of 3 middle schoolers and the only seventh grader. And now, this year, we have 46 middle schoolers. So it's awesome. There's a big, huge learning curve for everybody, including the administration, including the coaches, captains, athletes, parents, everybody. But I just want to reassure you that it's all good. So a couple of the big questions that I had and that I've noticed have been asked over and over and over again this year are the first one being just a seventh grader getting acclimated to the whole high school scene. And I was very apprehensive about socially, how is this going to work with my seventh grader, hanging out with juniors and seniors? And what I can tell you is that this team is these students are considerate, collaborative, they take care of each other. They are very kind and trustworthy and respectful of one another. Nobody gets left behind on this team. Everyone is a contributing member. So, they are, what they are is mentors, all of them. Whether your student has an assigned mentor or not, every single person on that team, they step up, they take responsibility, they're accountable, and they help each other out. So be assured that you've got a whole community of support wrapped around your student, and they're going to be really well taken care of, and they're going to learn they're going to go through their own positive development, and they've got these awesome mentors who are helping them along the way as well. The other thing is practices. I was looking at the schedule last year, and there's the 7:30 practice, and then there's a 3:30 practice, and I was thinking, does Alex have to go to both practices? And he gets out of school at 4:10. How is he going to get over there? Is he going to miss the majority of a 3:30 practice? How does that whole thing work? Well, last 7th grade, he didn't go to any 7:30 practices. And that was primarily because I was just clueless. I was clueless, and from day to day, we were just kind of getting through the day. And he would attend the 3:30 practice at 4:15 or whenever he got there. He would just go directly after school, after Lake Harriet let out. And he didn't miss, he was able to link in wherever they were with the practice, and if it was a team meeting, if it was a captain meeting, then he would take responsibility to get caught up with what the content of the meeting was. And so with whatever your family decides, both practices are available and accessible for your students. This year as an 8th grader, Alex is going to both. He does the 7:30 practice, which is usually a run, and then the afternoon practice, when he gets there at 4:15, is core work. There are 2 different types of practices, so recovery-wise, they can do those double practices in the day. The morning one actually has turned out to be really, really good for him because it's excellent for time management. He's got to have everything done before he goes to before he goes to the morning practice. He's got to have everything done because he's going to come home from school or from practice. He takes a shower, turns it around, gets his lunch together, and then heads off to school. So there's no getting homework done in the morning. He's got to have that homework done the night before, right after that 4 o'clock practice or 3:30 practice. But it's helped him be able to become a better time manager. And actually, now that he is going to the 7:30 a.m. practices, has more energy during the day. It's great for brain function. He's got this adrenaline rush. He's alert. He's excited. And it just really sets the tone for the whole day. If it works out for your child and your family schedule, I would recommend doing whatever practices they can link into. Homework first, but I would highly recommend it. The afternoon practices are core, and that's when the long meetings take place, which are really important, and that's part of team bonding. And there's also there's lifelong words of wisdom that are imparted by Zhao that these students carry along with them to sustain a healthy lifestyle. So all the practices, there is something to be gained by as many practices as the student can get. But Alex didn't go to every single one his 7th grade because we just didn't know. But now we know, and so I'm like, yes, you go to those practices. And as far as the meets go, I was looking at the calendar last year and I thought, my 7th grader has to get out of school 9 times early to go to these meets, and how's this gonna work, and he's gonna be missing so much, and is he gonna be able to keep up? And but if you take a look at the calendar, there are events that are highlighted that are more recommended for the middle schoolers. And so look at that form, the schedule that you got in the beginning of the season. What I would recommend is taking a look at those meets. The Hopkins invite, the JV Mustang, the Blaine invite, which are all strongly recommended for middle schoolers. Take a look at, they're on Thursdays, what class takes place 5th and 6th period, and determine how your child is doing in those classes, if it's something that they would be able to stay on top of. Can they get the homework ahead of time? Can they take tests ahead of time, or whatever they need to do in order to attend? I would recommend those 3, because that way your student is going to have a really rich experience and make a contribution to the team and their overall development. So those are the 3, that I would really consider participating in. And the other required are the city championship is required for everybody, which I absolutely agree with, because that's team camaraderie and support. And then there's also the that's the one that's required. So that's how we approached it last year. We kind of took it meet by meet and determined found out which ones were the best ones that were recommended for middle schoolers, and then made a decision based on how Alex was doing in school. Well, he really wanted to attend every single meet, so guess what? He did really well in school because he didn't want to be left out and he didn't want to miss anything. So this year, it's the same thing. Actually, this year's an 8th grader. He will be attending every meet except for the one this Friday. He's not attending St. Olaf, and that was primarily because I didn't want him to miss too much school the first week of school, and that particular meet is all day, so I just didn't want him to miss out on a whole entire day of school that first week of school. When he's in high school, he will be able to be full in, attend that one as well, which is next year. And let's see. So as far as the sign out process goes, you probably already have a handle on this already, but for 2 o'clock, if they're catching the bus at 2 o'clock for any one of those meets, then Alex would sign out of I send an email to Paula in the office and whoever that 5th and 6th period, whoever those 5th and 6th period teachers are, and I just let them know that he's going to be leaving school early that day. Then he signs out of the office at 1:40, hightails it over to the high school, and is able to catch the bus in time. So that's the process. It's very simple. The office completely understands. There's a lot of other athletes that are leaving early to get to their meets, There's there's soccer, or not soccer. There's tennis, baseball. There's all these other sports that the high schoolers or the middle schoolers are involved with as well. So they're used to it, and they're getting into a groove with that. It'll be streamlined, and it'll get a lot better. As this being the second year of the alignment, as time goes on, everyone's going to understand what the culture is, and it'll continue to become more and more streamlined and more efficient. What else? There was something else that I wanted to mention to you. Now I can't remember what it was, but those are the primary. If you continue to have questions as you're going along, of course, any of us are always available. Aaron Ryan at St. Anthony is also available to answer anything. Any Booster Club parents, anybody, everybody. But this is being a part of this team is very unique, and it's very different than a lot of the other sports. Your athletes are going to gain so much personal development overall. They're really going to get a sense of responsibility, accountability, and they're going to learn lifelong skills that they may not be getting through a lot of their other organized events or organized activities. So welcome. We are thrilled that you're a part of this. Just don't hesitate to send notes and to touch base if there's something that just you're confused about or just doesn't quite make sense, or you're not sure how to assess whether it's a good, how to assess a decision about going to a meet or being involved with the practice or a social event and all those types of things. All right, so take care, and we'll be in touch.